everyone, so this video is going to be how to set up a hedgehog hide along with food and water for those of you who live in the UK with wild hedgehogs. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need for your hedgehog hideout is of course some form of hideout. Now the reason for having a shelter in your hedgehog hideout is of course to protect the food. You don't want things like cats to be able to get to the food, and you want your hedgehog to have a safe area to actually eat the food. You can use a kind of selection of things, but being guinea pig owners, most of us will have access to pigloos. The larger pigloos work amazing as hedgehog hideouts because they've got enough space. Hedgehogs aren't tiny, so you need one that's got enough space to have a food dish in it and to also have enough room for your hedgehog to turn around in it and to be comfortable in it. And pigloos work really great for this, and they work especially good for hedgehog hideouts because they are made of plastic, and you don't want to be put in maybe a wooden house outside in the middle of the night and it happens to rain and you wake up to a damp wooden guinea pig house that you've paid maybe £20 for. Pigloos work really good as hedgehog hideouts, and that's what I would personally recommend. But you can always use cardboard boxes, other forms of plastic housing and things like that. You could always make your own hedgehog hideout if you wanted to. So another thing I would recommend doing, you don't really have to, if you've got a predator proof garden then it's perfectly fine not to, but one good thing to do is when you put your pigloo out or hideout out, to cover it in quite a few leaves and things like that, because it gives it camouflage and predators won't be able to see it as clearly. So that works really well, and I would suggest doing that if you've got a garden that predators can get to easily, because you don't want your guinea pig being inside eating food and then being attacked by a cat or anything like that. And you also want to be finding some sort of heavy stone or brick to place on the top if it's a plastic pigloo like this one, just so that you can weigh it down and make sure it doesn't blow away, or again that predators such as cats can get into it while your hedgehog's there or even access the food. So that's all you pretty much need for a hedgehog hideout. As for the other items, I'll just go over what food and things you're going to have to feed them now. Okay, so hedgehogs aren't vegetarians and they do need meat protein, so you can go out and buy proper hedgehog food, but it's not always available to everyone. I know that Pets at Home do stock it online, but my local Pets at Home doesn't actually have it in the store. And if a selection of other pet shops do, you're probably not going to find anything in your local pet shop. You're more likely going to find something in maybe a garden shop and things like that. But if not, don't worry, you can use cat and dog food. It's perfectly safe. The only thing you've got to do is stay away from fish. Things like chicken, like I've got here, and lamb is completely fine. Chicken's probably your safest bet, and you're probably better going with that. You can use dog or cat food, and I'd recommend getting them in these little cartons because you're not going to waste anything. If you do, you could just throw it out. And they're really cheap. You don't have to get the expensive stuff, you can just get the cheaper stuff. But obviously that's preference. If you want to buy the more expensive stuff, that's completely up to you. These are just the Wilkinson's own brand. I don't get the really cheap ones. I get the kind of in-between ones, and these are just the Wilkinson's own. So these are a good price, and I know they're not too cheap. So I like these, and I've fed these to the hedgehogs before. I've also used dog food. They don't really have a preference, but I prefer to feed dog food because I find the quality of it better. But it's completely up to you. So once you've got your food, all you need to find then is a fork to scoop it out with. And obviously don't use your kind of standard kitchen fork. Just go out and ask for an old one or buy one, or use a plastic one. You don't want to be using one that you're going to have to give to someone to use for their dinner that night. So go out and get maybe a plastic throwaway one or something like that. You're also going to need a couple of dishes, one for water and one for food. Any kind of regular dishes would do, guinea pig dishes. I'd recommend using old dishes that you're not going to use again. Plastic ones work great because they're not heavy and easily washable, and they have got just the right amount of space in them for the right amount of meat that you need. So that they work really well. With putting the dishes in the pigloo, you don't have to worry about putting the water dish in the pigloo, but if you want to, you can, or you can put an extra shelter out, one for water and one for food. So I like to leave my water dishes on the outside and just leave the food dishes on the inside. So I'm just going to open these up, and I'm going to scoop them into a dish and then show you the hedgehog hideout set up. So I'm going to go with the chicken one today and use that one. Okay, so I've got the food all prepared and I just need to fill up this water dish now. I'd probably recommend putting food in a darker dish if you've got that option, just because it can get a bit messy, and I like to mush it up as much as possible so it's easier for them. I probably will revert back to dog food after this because there's a bit too much jelly in this cat food, so I'll probably revert back to that. But like I said, it doesn't have to be the most expensive. They are wild hedgehogs and used to eating kind of out of bins and in tree from the ground and things like that. So this is a nice treat for them because their usual meals will probably be the odd slug and worm from the garden. So this will be a nice healthy treat for them. It'll be really good for their protein. And obviously they've got their fresh water there, which will be better than the water that they're probably used to having. So once you've set all that up, all you have to do now is go and set up your hedgehog hide. So this is the hedgehog hide all set up. Like I said at the beginning, it is a good idea to try and cover up the hide with some leaves and forage and things like that, because it does give it a bit of a camouflage. But obviously if you've got a predator proof area, then you should be fine in leaving it like this. And a way to spot that the hedgehogs have actually been, because obviously if the food's disappeared it could be a number of small critters, is to kind of spot their poo basically. So hedgehog's poo basically looks like a long thin slug, and although that's horrible, it's a good way to spot that they've been in your garden. And they're not pests at all, they're really good to have in your garden. So if you live with friends or parents and they're a bit worried about it, they're really good for keeping down the pests because they actually eat slugs and worms and so on. So as you can see, I've set up my hedgehog hide. I've put the brick on the top to keep the weight down. Their food dish, or his or hers food dish, is just in there. I've just placed it at the back so it's far away from the entrance as possible in case cats can reach for it. And I've put their water dish just by the side of it because you don't want it to be too far away, so that they can know that there's food and water here for them. So that's pretty much it for a hedgehog hide. As for location, again, in a predator proof area is a good idea. If you haven't got that option, putting a hedgehog hide in a hedge or in a kind of shady area with trees and bushes and things like that, or even next to a few flower pots, gives it a good disguise and a good safe secure area. So I haven't obviously done that, but because it is a predator proof garden, I have just placed it next to a wall and a smaller kind of piece of deck in here, just so it's got that security and safety of a corner. And obviously hopefully no predators can get in anyway. Well, I know they can't get in anyway, but the hedgehog will be completely safe here, and it's just a nice little area for him, and that's why I've placed it here. So that's pretty much everything you have to do for a hedgehog hide. So obviously remember that is for wild hedgehogs in the UK only, and you know, all the things I've said. Basically you need a hide, something to weigh down the hide, food dishes, food and fresh water, and that's pretty much it. It's really simple and it's really good to do this so you can encourage hedgehogs into your garden, keep them safe and keep them secure in your garden. It's really nice to have them and know that they're in your kind of area, because they're keeping down pests, like I said, but they're also really nice little creatures to have around, and we don't have an awful lot of them in the UK, so it's good to encourage them into your garden. So that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you've enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. Bye everyone.